Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hear Me Out Pitch, or if this is your first time, welcome. I'm Tim,
And I'm Willem.
and this week we got an interesting one, like we always do.
I like this one. I was really excited for it.
Yeah, I saw a post on Facebook, was it, about this movie? Not on our page or anything, just one of the sponsored things or whatever. Um, and it mentioned this movie and how bad it was, but also that the ideas were cool and that it was just a different type of superhero. And so I suggested it, and Willem was all over it. So
I definitely was. I'm always for a good anti-hero with a revenge plot, so love it. For all of you Spawn fans out there, this is not a Spawn discussion, but today we're talking about I don't know him very well, so I'll admit that. I'll admit I don't know him. I've learned more of the past years, and I heard of him when this movie was released, but we were talking about Bloodshot with Vin Diesel that was released 4 years ago, and what to say about it? It was predictable. Kind of. I don't know. How would you rate it? How would you describe it, Tim?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna put it at a 6. It wasn't terrible.
No.
It wasn't great, but I think, yeah, there were a couple things that I would change, and they're relatively small changes, and then it would just make I would probably bump it up to like a 7. It really wasn't a terrible movie. I was disappointed with a few things. Yeah.
I have a random question.
Okay.
How do you pronounce Valiant? Is it Valiant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Valiant.
Okay. So that is the name of the company of Bloodshot that owns Bloodshot. And I was kind of looking up more about them. I've heard about them, like I said. Very few of their characters, but they're not super big. They've been around since the 90s, but they are technically the third biggest cartoon corporation behind DC and Marvel. For anyone that's wondering which one of those is bigger, we're not here to talk about that today, because that's a whole discussion in itself.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, Tim, do you read comics at all?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm not much of a comic book guy. I mean, if it's an Avatar: The Last Airbender comic, then yes.
Okay.
Or a Zelda comic, or some Star Wars comics, but other than that, not really.
Have you read the new one the Vader one that Marvel owns?
I haven't.
Fabulous. I need to go back into and finish it, but they really show how scary Vader is. So, ugh. So, speaking of scary, we have Bloodshot, who honestly for me is very similar to Spawn. For those of you who don't know Spawn, I would highly recommend looking it up. We're not going to do a big discussion, but Spawn, Punisher, Bloodshot, very kind of similar story. Even RoboCop, very similar stories of men taken away from families and being turned into something that they cannot have. Some of them sadly lose their family, like some variations of Spawn and the Punisher. But Bloodshot, I like his idea. I like his story and I like his idea. And diving more into it, I really was trying to think of what we could do. I think my goal personally, is trying to be able to come up with an origin movie that isn't too cliched in how we would change that. But first, I want to ask Tim, or at least Tim wanted to kind of go through some things from the movie that he liked and didn't like, so we'll go with that.
Well, my biggest issue is I have a set of standards for me, and that includes, I'd rather not see nudity in movies. And this movie, it was only really at the beginning, but it was very heavy.
It was borderlining it.
It was very close, and it made me really uncomfortable. It lasted a really long time. Um, so I think one of the biggest things is the borderline nudity didn't need to be there at all, and I think that goes for all movies. Like I don't need to see nudity in any movie ever. Like it doesn't further any plot ever.
You know what's ironic is I'm not saying I just find it ironic that you say that because oh goodness, who is the director of Oppenheimer? And oh gosh, I everyone you're probably yelling at me. That's fine. It has been a very long Christopher Nolan,
Mhm.
right? Is that it?
Probably.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan, the director of Oppenheimer. So there is pretty intense nudity, I'll be honest. And I know this is a family podcast, so it's not going to get it graphic, but it's pretty up in your face about it. And like I told you guys when I first saw this movie, hearing an audience full of people who didn't truly understand the extent of why this movie was rated R was pretty darn funny and kind of worth it. But I think Tim is absolutely right. And the ironic thing is, Christopher Nolan said that those scenes actually added to the story. And I disagree. I can agree with one moment that was a kind of intimate thing, not intimate, but a very real and kind of psychological way of looking at it with his wife and a woman that he had been sleeping with. That was a rather different thing, but I still feel like you can do that differently than how they did it in the movie because good gravy, that was a lot. So I'm right with you. I'm right with you there, Tim.
Yeah. I Other than that, there were a couple other things. Um, there was one scene. It was a big fight scene. It was very well set up. I was impressed with camera angles and with how they did it. Um, but they ignored chemistry, which kind of annoyed me. There's a fight scene and a semi truck. They're in a tunnel, right? And all the lights shut off because that's one of Bloodshot's powers. Is he has control of the internet essentially and control of electronics and stuff, which is scary. Um, but he shuts off the lights, and so this semi truck runs into the wall, and it's carrying a load of flour in its trailer, and so the whole tunnel is coated in flour. Um, and the first thing these guys do is they pull out flares and torches and stuff. Flour is so incredibly explosively flammable. It's terrifying. Like I worked at a scout camp for a summer, and one of the things that we did to have to be
Oh,
funny was we'd drop some flour on just little bits of flour onto a small ember, and it would explode and make the fire huge. That really bugged me. I don't know. I'm not sure why it bothered me so much, but that was I think the big thing.
no, I think no, you're right because because what's the first thing they light up when they're trying to figure out what's going on because
Flares.
he lights up
They light
flares.
they light two flares and they stick them on the ground in the flour. Like they bury them in the flour so they stand upright.
Yeah, the whole and the thing is
Uh,
that could have been a cool death.
it could have
That
been.
could have been a smart way for him to kill the guy he was after.
It could have been. It bothered me that they ignored physics. Flour and fire do not go together in any way, shape, or form, except when you're baking bread.
That's a funny way to look at it.
Mm-hmm. That was another thing. Like it was cool. They used the flour. The movie originally was supposed to be rated R. And so you mentioned that that was a cool way to like kind of mask the blood and keep it PG-13.
Yeah.
And we could see the impacts because we could see the flour kind of puff off of them. The only thing they needed to do was not use grenades and not use flares.
I think they could have used flashlights, and they maybe couldn't have not realized what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Vin, and this character, of course, was played by Vin Diesel, who I didn't mind him in this role. I've been trying to figure out who, for anyone who knows the actor who played the White Ranger from Power Rangers, and Jason David Frank, he was one of my favorite characters growing up as a kid. He played Tommy in the original Power Rangers, and really sad that he passed away. But he actually he worked with a YouTube channel, and they did a fan thing, and he played Bloodshot. And I don't know, here's a picture. Here, I'll show you a picture of the Bloodshot from the comics real quick. And I don't know if you know what that actor looked like. So that's what Bloodshot looks like. Not really Vin Diesel, right? It's got black hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then this...
That gives me more of like Arnold Schwarzenegger vibes.
And this is him this is the actor doing the fan film.
Oh, that way fits.
I know, right?
That's
so I really imagine someone like him playing it. And you know what's crazy? Okay, so I think we're getting kind of distracted. So I want to kind of go into Bloodshot really quick and his kind of character, and I guess we can kind of go into the movie, but I basically will sum up the movie like this. Bloodshot was a man named Ray Garrison. He worked in this movie at least, he was in the military, and his body is basically being used by Rising Spirit Technologies, RST, and they have flooded his body with 1 billion nanites that replace his blood, and he is just a living, breathing weapon, very similar to Wolverine. And what's crazy is anyone who is defected from this corporation, they use Bloodshot, they erase his memories, and they have anyone who has defected being the person who killed Ray Garrison's wife, quote unquote. And I found it really cool that how they did that, but they really went I don't know. So how the movie starts is we get Ray serving a mission. Sorry, serving a mission. It's not the right way to say it.
On a mission.
On a mission. Still sounds funny.
Yeah.
He's knocking on doors. Hi, do you want to learn? I'm just kidding. He's got a Bloodshot name tag. Love it. Anyway, he's in the military saving hostages, and he's with his lovely wife, which is the scene that Tim we didn't like that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his wife, he wakes up the next morning. His wife is out of bed doing groceries in this beautiful little boat town. He gets attacked in his home, and then he gets knocked out by this guy. We'll just say this guy. And then he wakes up in a meat locker, wakes up with Psycho Killer by the Talking Heads playing. Guy comes out with all these tools, torture him. Long story short, they kill his wife in front of him, and then they shoot him. And Ray wakes up in the RST. He's been told that his body was donated by the military. He has no memories. And during his time there, they explain to him about the nanites. He's hanging out with KT, this beautiful soldier who has a respiratory system in her. Anyway, hangs out with them, becomes friends with them. Here's Talking Heads, and it sets a chain of reactions of him attacking said murderer. That's when we have the awesome flower scene. Kills the man, goes back to base, and then holy crap, it turns out it was all fake. They've put these memories in his mind.
Bucky Barnes style.
And the rest of the movie is him basically fighting against it, fighting at the base, and I don't really want to go too into it because it was very generic, and there's nothing too much to say about it. So that's why I wanted to ask Tim, what can we do with this plot, and how can we change it? Because we've seen many revenge arcs, many revenge stories. So Tim, I'm gonna use D&D here.
Okay.
First off, what kind of character is Bloodshot? Like Punisher, Bloodshot, would that be a paladin type character, like someone who's out for revenge, or what are we looking at here?
It depends on their motives and why they do it and their abilities. I don't know. It's hard to put these kinds of characters into Dungeons and Dragons just because they kind of break convention.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd probably say they're just fighter.
Okay, a fighter.
Pretty basic. They I don't use magic per se. One of the fighter abilities at second level is called Second Wind, which, as a bonus action, you heal yourself 1d10 plus your level.
All
which
right.
is kind of like the nanites.
I think that definitely works for it.
Bunch of attacks, and he's really good at what he does.
Okay, Wolverine.
That's probably what I would say. As far as the plot goes, I didn't hate the plot. I know it was very generic, very, you followed it very, very easily. What I would have done is I would have kept those missions separate, and I would have had them use a different backstory for each and kind of tie it together and kind of have that be like his life, right? Where maybe the first one, right, they kill his wife, they let him go, and then he snaps out of it, and he's awake, and they explain you died. It wasn't because of this guy. It was because of something else. We found you in this ruined state, dead, and we fixed you up, blah blah blah. He goes and he hunts the man down and kills him, and then he comes back and has different nightmare that they killed his daughter or something, his son, like his child, and so he's even more furious because that's his kid, and so he goes on and kills the next guy, and that would take us right probably halfway through the movie. Would you say a little bit longer, 2/3 of the movie? Because that's the second guy.
Yeah. So
and then I would have it revealed. Oh, they're Bucky Barnesing him.
So would you have him like hanging out at RST like as an employee, quote unquote?
Kind of. I would have him interact with the people there a little bit more.
Or do you think maybe it would be more of, we're going to make it the Truman Show style where everything's kind of fake and they've been watching him, monitoring him, and they have actors who are the other people, and they're like, oh, this is a rehab center, this is RST, and no.
I think I'd do a combo of both.
Okay.
Where, they already kind of did that combo of both, where it was all fabricated, but there were real people with those implants, with those prosthetics, those prosthetic attachments and stuff.
I wanted to see more of them.
Agreed. I would have liked to have seen maybe the blind guy goes out with him to do the second mission.
Yeah.
And that's where he dies.
It's Tibbs, right? Tibbs was so... I feel so bad for him because he just wanted to... Because he feels obligated to this company because... So Tibbs was a man who was blind. He has optical nerve, like this vest basically that has cameras all over that has cameras on its chest that basically turns his vision into a first-person shooter. It was pretty cool how they did it. And then later on in the movie, when he's fully kitted up, he has this
helmet, and he's got like this whole suit that lets him see in 360 degrees.
And he has cameras all over him. Like
Mhm.
his full suit has cameras everywhere, so you can't sneak up on him. I thought it was very well done, and I get it because he felt obligated to serve this place because they gave him sight again. You
Mhm.
know, I'm sorry, but in a as a Christian man, I still got to say, if all of a sudden someone came up to me and gave me sight or gave my hearing back, I'd probably want to follow or do whatever that person said. You know,
Yeah.
so it's
Mhm.
I feel like he would be pretty cool. And he wanted to drop the facade. Now the jerk, I can't remember his name, and I honestly don't care.
I don't care. I hated his character.
He wasn't well done.
He wasn't well done. He was just a bully. That's all he
So
was.
how do we flesh him out to hate him? Well, first off, I want to hate him even more, but how do we hate him
Right.
more naturally?
I'm thinking we send him on that first mission where with the flower scene, and we get a little bit more backstory. Maybe we learn more, and maybe he has a flashback or something, and we see, because he was in the army, right? That's how he lost his legs, and maybe we see his whole squad die,
Oh, and he got
and
blown
he
up
got
by
blown up, and he survived. He's the only one who survived, and he's bitter about that, and he doesn't like people who take things for granted, um, which Bloodshot kind of does. Um, and I think that would I don't want an Umbridge character. I don't want him to be an Umbridge type character, but I do want him to feel like you can connect to him, but you're also like he's just a jerk. He's just a bully.
So maybe like Crossbones from Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember his real name, but I just call him Crossbones because he felt like he was a guy who
Rumlow.
was Rumlow. Yep, Rumlow.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Exactly. He definitely felt like he had service. So that character's name is Jimmy Dalton. I think the flower scene would be awesome with him because he's got those prosthetic legs. He could run fast.
Right?
Imagine him like all of a sudden you just see one guy disappear, another guy disappear, and that's when they start shooting and they're like, "What's going?" And that's when the powder. That would be cool. That could be an opening scene or something.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like it. I want him to feel used, but I want it to be more. I wanted them to fill the blanks because what bugs me is what happened to Ray and how did he die?
That's another thing. Like we never actually learn how he died. We never learn how he actually got to where he was.
So here's the thing is that I wanted to have, and hear me out on this one. So I imagined that later in the movie, um, Guy Pearce, and for anyone who doesn't know who Guy Pearce is, he's the villain in Count of Monte Cristo, or
He's also the bad guy in Iron Man 3.
he's the first Mandarin, quote unquote. I'm using quotes there.
Mm-hmm.
He's the Mandarin.
He's not Trevor. He's not the actor Mandarin. He is the Mandarin. He's the guy in charge.
Yes.
He's the guy that lights himself on fire.
Who was pretty cool. Anyway, we're not here to talk about him, but Guy Pearce is the big head honcho behind all this. I imagine a scene with Ray coming up to him, calling him out, saying, "You've been giving me fake memories. These people have just been babysitters for me. They're not helping me. They're making sure that I do what you tell me." And then, did I even die that way? Did I even get, like, is my wife even dead? And then, like, is that how I died? Actually, no. I think I want the revelation his wife is alive to come after. I want this scene to come after he has that awful scene with his wife, his ex-wife. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what hurts more to him. And, this, I might be asking a personal married man question here, but what's worse, the idea of your wife being dead or thinking you got her back and she's moved on?
I honestly, I don't want to think about it.
So
in that context, I do not want to think about that. That question makes me really uncomfortable.
Sorry.
You're okay.
But that honestly makes me want to keep that scene because him hugging her and she hugs him back as a friend because they've been mutual.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know what she thought he was doing. Well, I think one thing I would have changed though is she heard he was dead.
I would have had that too. I would have had she thinks he's dead, and maybe he explains to her what is going on, and she's like this, and then she explains what happened, and maybe that's where we reveal how he died. Maybe it was we broke up and you decided to take on your most dangerous mission yet because you had nothing to lose anymore.
Here's what I'm thinking. She just says, I heard you died. And then she just says, I heard you died in service. And then he's like, Vin Diesel style. Did they say how, all gruff as he does, family. And she kind of says, no, but he's like, well, I'm back now. I'm back. I'm alive. Can we? And she's like, we divorced 5 years ago. I've moved on. It's been they ended things. And then that's when it hurts. She turns around. I love that part was so good when her daughter kept trying to get her attention.
Mm-hmm.
Turns around, turns back. He's gone. Loved it. Would keep that in a heartbeat. That's when I imagine him busting in to the facility, walking up the ladder, walking up the stairs, and, Harding just doesn't feel, he's just cocky. He doesn't feel anything at all because he has the off switch. Mm-hmm. They haven't used the off switch yet. And he gets to him and he says, how did I really die? I want to just imagine he is drunk off because he just got divorced. He's drunk off somewhere. He just gets jumped and killed. And he goes, is that how you want to be? Is that how you want to remember your death? I can, because I want it to be.
I don't know. Here's my thought against it.
Okay.
He's a soldier.
You're right.
And he is essentially, he really is the best of the best. He would be up there with, the Marines, the Green Berets.
Yeah.
He'd be up there in those special services. So I don't think he would just end up getting himself jumped. I feel like it would be a hit from a previous mission. Kind of like what we see in the simulations, but it's a little bit more. We tracked you because one of us saw your face and you let one of us live, kind of thing, and
yeah,
we tracked you from there and blah blah blah, and maybe he took them out with him. And I think that would be
okay.
It would fit his character a little bit more.
How about we merge it this way? Let's merge it this way because I want to bring up a point of why I'm saying that because I want to have this sort of scene with Dr. Harding. So he goes on a mission, but he's still kind of messed up from the divorce. Respectfully, that's a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
She's had enough. She can't. It's hard to love a soldier who's always gone, and you don't know when they're going to come home. So sometimes it's better just to break things off. I'm assuming, but I can't imagine that kind of life. So love and respect to all those who do it. We love you guys. Anyway, point being, I imagine does the mission. He gets it done in some awesome way. But he's really distracted, doesn't pay attention, and gets shot in the back and is killed. And here's why I want that, is because, they show him the last scene. They show his vision of him turning around and seeing, and it could even be like some kid he let go. One of those kind of cliche things of he let the kid go and then the kid sneaks back and shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
Turns around, falls down, and Dr. Harding goes, the great Ray Garrison, one of the top soldiers, one of the tier 1 specialists, taken down because you were having a sad day after your wife left you. Is that how you want your death to be remembered? No, we gave you this. And he goes through and shows him all the memories. We gave you a purpose. We brought you back, and you have everything. I made you the best weapon you can be. And now you want that old life? You want that old death to mark you? I don't know, something like that. I want to have the doctor look at him going, I have given you, this is what I've given you.
Mm-hmm.
I have taken your pain. Why do you want it back? We go to Odium a lot, don't we?
We really do.
Well, I like Odium. I like it's a good thing to, the idea of taking away, putting the blame onto others. I really love the idea because that's not what heroes do. Most villains put the blame on others. Very rarely do you see a villain that blames themselves, which in my opinion I think is scarier when there's a villain with a conscience that blames herself. Example, Thanos. Thanos doesn't really blame anyone. He just wants a task, and he will take on all the responsibility to do it.
Say Mr. Freeze.
Oh. See him.
He's a tragic character.
Oh my gosh. That's
all
such
he
a
wants
good...
is to save his wife.
Leave me to my wife, Batman. Anyway. Ooh. That's a good thing. So, I think the 2 missions you came up with, I think that'll be good. So, I want to ask though, do we start the movie right up to that mission? Or would we start it with the epic, very similar to this opening, the very epic opening? Or we would just start the movie with him being, they're on a bad A mission, they get it done, and then somehow we get flashbacks, we get nightmares of his wife. Oh, because, yeah, you said you had the... Yeah, he keeps having the nightmares. I think, and I'm using quotation marks, he keeps having nightmares of his wife and child being murdered. Oh, but now he can have his child, but it's not even his? Oh my gosh. I want it. I want it. I want the pain. I want the pain. Sorry, I like tragic heroes. Now I see why they like to torture Spider-Man so much. Oh, that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
So, after the 2 missions, and after the kind of big reveal, what would be that point going forward in your opinion? So let's say we have the big the interaction between the Doctor and Ray, and it's like you can either choose, we go back, wipe your memories, or you choose to just get shut down. I don't know. What would be the 2?
I think I would have it play out kind of the same way.
Okay.
During the second mission, I'd have Wiggins. I'd have Wiggins end up being the next target after. I would also have Tibbs die in an ironic way. I'd have him be blinded. I'd have his sensors be shot or something. And he can't see, and then he ends up making some mistake that costs him his life. Whether it's, falling down the stairs, or he can't see, and so he ends up walking into an open space and gets shot. I don't know, something that just feels a little more
sad.
Oh
my gosh, because he'd be
scared.
He'd be scared. Wow, Tim, I thought I was evil.
I'm showing my true colors, aren't I?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I think that would have been a way justifiable end for Tibbs. I just didn't
him falling off the side of the building didn't I don't know.
And stupid Johnny being like, "Hey man, hold on."
Told you to hold on.
Told you to hold on, man. Oh, so stupid.
I don't know. I feel like that would have given his character just a little bit more something to be remembered for. Um,
So how would we introduce Wiggins then?
I'd have it be the same thing, exactly the same way.
So would you have them like knock him out at that after that altercation and try to send him again?
hmm I would have them. I would do exactly the same thing to
Okay.
end it. I would have KT come up or go into the simulation and stop and help help Ray remember, um, and then come out of it, and then he'd go on and kill people in the facility, and KT and doctor would end up having their confrontation, and the doctor does his tries to shut her ventilator off, and then turns out Wiggins fixed it, made it so that she has control and only she has control. Um, and she gets out and she blows up
Servers.
the servers and everything. And I would have the big fight be between Johnny and Ray, and I would have that be more of a um, you're just a jerk who doesn't follow orders. You do what you want, and here I am, me not following orders got my whole squad killed. Blah blah blah. And he's just I'd have him just be more angry at Ray for not learning from his mistakes. Have he be
So
mad at Ray for
Johnny
not.
is like
He's
putting
projecting.
projecting, that's the
He's
word.
projecting.
He's projecting his issues. So you would make
Um,
Johnny a little more like um Tibbs then.
a little bit more, yeah.
The obedient. I hope we're not saying his name wrong. Let me see real quick. Where'd he go? Oh, didn't even show. Oh, here it is. They just call him Hernandez in this one. Wah.
Hmm.
Oh, I know that's his name. They don't even show. They don't even tell us his like name in this one. I'm gonna have to. I thought Wiggins was awesome.
It was.
Huh? They really don't.
Yeah, it's Tibbs.
Okay, Tibbs. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you for
it's
finding
Tibbs.
that. Okay, so really quick, I just want to backtrack to altercation with the doctor. So I'm guessing, do you think it would be all right if we had him waking up like from these nightmares in his bed, and then after they knock him out, because maybe after the altercation, he's like, I'm not going to choose your path, just shut me down. And he goes, and he says something like, no, I need my puppet kept on a string. And he like presses a button on his arm, and Vin Diesel just shuts down. And then that's when it's revealed that he's in that chamber. They replace his nanites.
Yeah, that would work.
So you know what's a really cool thing though about Bloodsport? He has a red circle on his chest. That's actually the only place in the comics where he doesn't heal, and it's actually exposed like nerves. And technically, it's a big blood spot that just bleeds. And so most shirts and symbols of blood spot is a red circle with blood leaking down. So it's basically like if Iron Man's wound was always open. Think of it like that. It's the reverse of Iron Man. So
Okay.
I definitely wanted to incorporate that more because when Bloodshot nanites are being used, actually Bloodshot as himself, his nanites make his skin pale white, eyes red and black, and he's got a big bloody hole, a big bloody spot on his chest. That's his character. This one, they didn't really do that. And that kind of bugged
Well,
me.
I think they didn't do the big bloody hole just to keep it from being rated R.
I mean, I feel like they could have
Probably
at
be
least
another.
covered him, and then they could have had the blood seeping,
Mhm.
easily. That's easy to um that's easy to control because half the time he just has a symbol on his chest. Um, so the ending with Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I was really satisfied with it. But here's the question. I feel like Wiggins was just the cure-all, end-all. So the nanites have the issue of if they're overused, they'll just die. They overheat and die, and then he's just normal Ray. It's not like that in the comics. I honestly think I wouldn't have done the whole they have to replace the nanites. I would have
Well,
just
I think it works because after Wiggins repairs him at the
yeah.
end, he made the upgrades so that they don't have to replace them.
And I'm okay with that, but I
Mhm.
think that if we just cut that out and have Wiggin is the healing of him being his own free agent.
Mm.
I'd keep that, but I feel like him thinking he's independent throughout the whole movie, and he doesn't have to recharge, but he just thinks he's has free will. Basically, I feel like that would have been the big contender, and I think I would have had Wiggins been a. I just feel like Wiggins was so random.
It was kind of random, but I also
Well, his introduction was random. I think he should have been more included in RST. Maybe he was someone who was against RST from the beginning, didn't used to work with them, but he didn't like them.
Mhm.
He thought he had a feeling that their coding and whatever they were using was unethical, and he truly believed that they took his code, just like they actually did,
Uh-huh.
and he was trying to get at them, saying, "Don't use my code, or I will get you." You know,
Maybe that could be why he ends up being the third or the last target.
See, I feel like that would have worked well. Other than I feel like first mission, second mission, altercation, brainwashed. He's going after Wiggins. Wiggins and KT work together because KT sneaks in, helps Wiggins, and they work together to shut him out. And then all three of them go and attack RST at the end. Oh, but
I like that.
yeah, because I loved Wiggins. I love the actor. For anyone who doesn't know who
He did such a good job.
he did. The actor is, let me see if I can get his name. Where'd he go? I just had him. No.
Lamorne Morris.
Yeah, he plays in New Girl. I don't know if anyone here's seen New Girl, but he's I guess the best way to say it is he's the black guy of New Girl. I don't remember his name. Sorry. It's just the best way for me to say it. But loved him. I honestly would have had him drop the British accent because the actor's not British.
I don't know. I kind of
You
liked
liked
the
it?
accent. I thought it was fun.
I do love when he's doing the coding thing and he's going against the nerdy tech guy of RST. That scene was impeccable. Did anyone see that? Did anyone see that? No? I gotta get more friends.
Mm.
Dang it.
He's funny.
So, well, I think there's not much else to say.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what we've got works.
It's really, I feel like, so here's kind of a little topic to maybe go for like 10 to 20 minutes though. Why are origin movies so what do you think needs to happen to make a good origin movies? Okay, here, I'll ask this question. What is a favorite origin movie of Tim? And let me guess, I'm gonna read your brain. Captain America.
I was actually gonna say Thor.
Oh, jeez, really?
Yeah, Thor. The first Thor movie. I mean, Captain America works really well as well. But the first Thor movie, for me, we established already who Thor was. We all know who Thor is. Um, and in Norse mythology, he's very different from the way he is in Marvel comics. But that's fine. Um, we established why, like we established his character. We established why he ends up where he is, why he knows the people he knows, and we have a conflict, a big conflict that shakes not just him, but everybody around him. Um, that's where we're also introduced all the characters that we know for like around him, like Jane Foster and Eric Selvig, and we meet Coulson. If that's the first Marvel movie you watch in the order, you meet Coulson there. If not, you meet him in Iron Man. Blah blah blah. Um, but I don't know. In this movie, in Bloodshot, we established. I thought it was an okay origin story. We established his powers. We established who he is, why he does what he does. Um, we established a lot of the characters. The big issue is we didn't establish exactly how he got to be where he is. Um, we don't know how he died. We don't know exactly what his life was before he died, and we don't. There's other things that we don't know. Um, Whereas with Thor and with Iron Man and with Captain America, we know exactly how these characters got to be where they are.
Even in Iron Man, they first have the award ceremony and they give a little brief history because he's going to win this award. So, of course, they give a little brief history of the award winner, which was a very clever way to do it. Captain America, we see a young Steve Rogers before we have him have the serum. And I feel like with Bloodshot, I feel like the beginning was up to it. I just felt like the shock of, oh, this isn't a revenge movie. This is I've been used movie. I just feel like the adjustment, the transition from that movie to that genre to the other just wasn't very well done. Because even though technically his wife and children, his child, if that was his child, in ours, I don't know if we really established that. I don't really care. The point being, he did lose his family, whether that's regard to him becoming Bloodshot or his military service. It's still sad. Yeah. And it's still hard because he's never going to be the same. And honestly, now that I think about it, I don't know if I would have him. I think I would change it so that he's pale or
I'd have him be pale when he's healing.
And then also you can have him be pale when, I guess this could be an instance of him, of his nanites not being properly fixed, because every time they overheat, he turns white. We could have it be that. And then Wiggins fixes at the end. He says he wakes up. And, oh, man, that could be a good thing. He wakes up in the little thing, and Wiggins is like, all right, don't worry. It's not as painful this time.
Not a car battery.
Yeah, not a car battery this time. That scene was wonderful.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was good.
Wakes up, and he looks at him and goes, all right, mate, I need you to just hear me out. I have done the Wiggins miracle, and you no longer need to have your nanites be healed. I have fixed them. They're going to repair on their own. They will basically work in shifts. And you will be able to heal and you'll be fine. But here's the problem, is that I put them always in a state of healing you. So what you might see now will be a shock. And he looks in the mirror and he's pale, the red eyes, and the glowing red. Maybe we can have him stay glowing, the glowing red, or at least the blood circle in the middle. Mm-hmm. He goes, I can't change this. I can't fix it. So either you go back to depending on machines again, or you get to walk around the world as this monster. So I feel like that
works.
Because I feel like you got to end the movie with them being recognizable, at least to what most people know. So anyone who loves the comics will look at the end of the movie and go, all right, because at the end of Iron Man, that was Iron Man. At the end of Captain America, that was Captain America. Going down, waking up in the middle of New York City, looking around, he wasn't in a suit, but you look at him and go, that's a man out of time. That's Captain America. At the end of Thor, he comes down to kiss Jane Foster. You're like, that's Thor. And so I think
Mhm.
Bloodshot looking at himself and, kind of smirking, seeing KT out there looking at Wiggins. He goes, all right, what's the next mission? And then, freaking guitar solo or something, and that's the end of the movie.
I like it. I think that works. The big issue that we have stumbled upon with a lot of Vin Diesel movies is that things aren't explained.
No. And I was saying that because both Tibbs and Johnny, they didn't have their full suits until the last 20 minutes. I looked at you and I said, oh my goodness, Babylon AD.
Yep.
And it's like, I would have rather had that earlier. Oh my gosh.
That's why I said we should have them go on the missions with him.
And you would have been nuts, though. What if Tibbs didn't die and they basically resurrect Tibbs and he's just some awful, mindless thing? No? Too much?
No.
You kind of like the scared? Okay,
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to fight Tibbs?
No, he doesn't need to fight Tibbs. He just needs to fight Johnny. He needs to face the bully.
Face the doctor.
Kick his butt. Face the doctor. And both of them, and then Wiggins can bring him back.
I do want to say that I think it would have been cool if Bloodshot shoots the doctor with a grenade launcher instead, and the doctor catches it, and he teases him with the whole fake tennis champion, remember? Mm-hmm. And then he pulls out a different gun and just bink. So that might have been cheesy, but yeah. I feel like I wanted a little more awesome moments from the doctor and his robotic hand. Or maybe it's revealed that he's a lot more augmented than he wants to let on. Because I believe that this character, if I was reading things correctly, I believe that Dr. Harding is kind of like an evil RoboCop. I'll have to double check on that, but I could totally see him just completely just augmenting himself, being more machine than...
I could see that.
Because why would this doctor just... I don't know. I feel like almost an AI almost would be a pretty cool reveal at the end. You're like, oh, it's almost like a horde mind trying to take over his nanites. Ew. What if it's like the mother of the nanites?
He is Ultron.
Ew. Ew. Oh. Crap, now I really want Ultron in nanite form. I want Ultron in Marvel someday to be made completely out of nanites. Dang it, Tim. I need Ultron to come back now, Marvel. Speaking of Marvel, I am so excited for Deadpool and Wolverine. You best believe I'm seeing that movie on the midnight premiere. Woo! I'll let you know how it goes, Tim.
And if they come out with an edited version that's PG-13, I'll go watch it.
Oh, well, everyone, I'll be honest. This has kind of been a rough... I guess, no, adulting's hard. Adulting is hard. Adulting is very hard, and everyone goes through things. Everyone has issues, and I'm proud of me and Tim for taking time to come up with this. And I am doing my best to making this audio sound good. Today, we're doing one microphone because I'm ready to break having two. If anyone has any suggestions of how to record with two microphones smoothly, let me know. Because I'm losing my mind here, and I'm sorry if our audio is not the kind of quality you all want. I'm not saying we're perfect. We've only been doing this less than a year, but we do want to give you guys good stuff.
Yeah.
And this week is a shorter week. Sue us. So, anything else to say, Tim?
No. Just be kind. Love each other. Make sure that when there isn't another superhero in your life, you be that superhero for others.
I really like that phrase. Well, everyone, I got a busy week to get going to, so we're going to call it short. It's late. And if you listen to this episode, thank you so much. And next week is probably going to be the suggestion. I'm sorry, Aiden, if you're listening to this one. I totes was ready to do your suggestion, but then Tim said this one, and I went, oh! So, next week.
Or
a
surprise.
Or a surprise. I don't know. Tim's pretty against your suggestion, Aiden, so.
I'm not. It's not against the suggestion. It's something I have in mind.
Oh, really? Oh.
So,
okay, well, I guess, is this a surprise for me? Or can you tell me when we stop recording?
You'll have to wait and see.
Oh, I hate you so much. Freaking DM. All right. Well, everybody, with that, we will see you later, pitches. Bye.
Bye.